Okay, well, we'll kick it off. I know there's a couple more people that are going to hop on, but we'll just kick off this edition of Webclass Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. And we love having you live. And if you're on the replay, welcome to the replay. So tonight is part 4 of the author brand series. And when I was teaching some workshops in the UK, I got to hear a lot of different thoughts and ideas about what an author brand is to a lot of different people. And it means a lot of things to a lot of people. But at the end of the day, what it really means is that we all are in charge of promoting our own selves. I'm just going to mute everybody just so that I can, for the replay, keep the background noise down. Perfect. So yeah, it's really important that we take charge of self-promotion, and that's a really big part of the author journey. And in some of the other classes, we cover different, the promotional strategy from beginning to end and what we want to make sure we have in our toolkit as far as promoting ourselves. And so self-promotion, as much as it sounds like I don't want to feel like I'm bragging, that braggadocious thing, learning the art of self-promotion is all part of becoming an author. Becoming anybody who's in business really has to learn how to get out there and talk to people about their business, promote it, but most especially if you're looking for coverage as an author and the authority that you already have as having written a book. And the moment you publish a book, you are the authority on that subject. And you're the leader. People will come to you. And that's, a lot of the reasons why people shy away from writing books, because they get into a mindset that, who am I to write this? And maybe I'm just not qualified. And all of those alibis we give ourselves that basically keeps us from writing the book that we're meant to write. So one of the ways that we have to get really accustomed to promoting ourselves is before we publish our book, we want to start thinking about how we're going to promote. So that's why when I talk about the 5 pillars of pathways, it's commit, write, design, promote, and then publish. Promote comes before publish for a reason, because once you launch a book, if you don't tell people you're launching a book before you launch the book, nobody's going to know you're launching the book. Nobody's going to buy your book. So what we want to do is get out in front of that. And in one of our other classes, we covered a lot of different ways of doing that. So this one I wanted to devote to what I call media madness. And with media, there's a little bit of an art to that as well. So communicating your author brand to the media is something that most people, unless you've had any reason to ask for coverage before, are really not accustomed to doing. So I'm going to just show you a couple of slides. This is actually a presentation I put together. Let me just share my screen with you a while back, but it's really, can everybody see the screen? Yeah, just give me a nod. Yep. Okay, so the brand is you. So we've covered that before, right? You are your brand. And what does that mean? That means you have to be really clear on how you show up as an author, how you present yourself as an author to the marketplace. But then you're going to want to become really clear on how to present yourself to the media. Why? Because at a certain point in time, your book and your brand and your business are going to require a bit of coverage. So for example, if you're doing a book signing somewhere, or if you're doing an author talk somewhere, or you're doing a keynote, or even if you just want to let the local community newspaper know what you're doing, you need to know a few things about how to present yourself to the media. So presenting yourself, your unique brand. So there's a whole bunch of ways that you're going to get out in front of promoting yourself, right? In social media, online marketing, maybe you're going to have a blog, you're going to have a website, you're going to have all of these things that are forming part of your author platform. But then you're going to want to at some point reach out to somebody in the media and say, geez, it would be so nice if there were some coverage available for my upcoming, whatever that event is for you. So one of the ways that we prepare authors for presenting themselves to the media is with a press kit. Now, a press kit is designed as a document that's 3-4 pages that really summarizes what I call your umbrella brand. So whether it's just the author of your brand, or whether it's the author, you're a speaker, you're a coach. So we basically break a press kit down into those individual sheets that make up a whole press kit. Because if you send an email to a member of the media and say, hey, I would love some coverage. And when we did our last class, we talked about kind of the manner in which you do not want to be in that place of expecting coverage. You don't want to presume coverage. So there is a way to present yourself to the media so that you're actually asking in a way that is not presumptive. But what you don't want to do is ever just send them an email, give them the link to your website and say, hey, come check me out, because they won't, right? They're asked to give coverage to so many people, and they have to siphon it down. And the only way that you're going to get through the mess of all the rest is to make your press kit, make your presentation so unique, so excellent, so that you're going to stand out amongst the crowd. And I mean, isn't that the way that we do anything? If you want to create a business idea, you want to make it unique. Right? So this is the KISS symbol, the KISS strategy, right? Keep it simple, stupid, right? That's not you guys, that's just in general. So you keep it really simple, you keep it easy. So easy is like you want to create excitement about your brand and about what you're doing. You want to show appreciation for them even spending the time opening your email. You want to keep everything you're doing simple, so simplicity. And the why is you are your brand. You are an ambassador of your story. So that's your easy part to remember. So what's in a press kit? Well, your press kit is made up of your bio, so your short bio. So we've got a few different bios. So if you've written a book, you understand already what the short bio is. The short bio goes on the back cover of your book. The longer bio goes on the inside of your book. Okay, and then your social media brief is like a tweet. It's as long as 140 characters. So you're going to want to prepare for yourself a few of, like one of each of these things. And the second thing that we send out to media is a press release. Okay, so a press release has the date, the location, and the headline of exactly what you're asking coverage for. So for immediate release, you launch your book, and maybe you want to go to the local newspaper and ask them if they would, print some information about the launch of your forthcoming book, or your book signing, or whatever the event is that you're looking for. So your press release is all about you. It's about your book. It's maybe got a couple of quotes from your book. It's got some reviews that are already probably endorsements in your book, and some testimonials, and then contact information. And the way we present press kits is we do a PDF document, and I have some examples here, so I'll show you what that looks like, that is branded to your brand. So it's not just this bland PDF. We design the PDF as per your branding colors so that it's uniquely you. And then the PDF document is then hyperlinked to the places we want the media to go with one click, because they're not going to go to your website. But if you put the link to your website, or if you put the link to your Facebook page, but it's inside the press kit, they can just click. They don't have to search. They don't have to wonder. You got to tell them exactly what you want them to know, because they're not going to write it. They're only going to cut and paste it. Okay, so when people say they're misquoted and there's things that come out in the newspaper, they allowed the journalist to do all the research, and then they don't come up with the parts that are important like you want them to be important. So you got to tell them exactly what you want. Okay, you have a summary of the book in your press kit. So you've got one sheet with key points. You've got the synopsis, maybe of your book, a brief one, a full one, extended, whatever we decide to do with your press kit. Okay, and then you've got quotes from your book, or a paragraph, or not necessarily a chapter, but these are all excerpts that you can actually include with your press release. Okay, and then for media interviews, okay, some of the key points. Presume they have not read your book, only excerpts. Know that know the media's readership and listenership, and we'll go over that in a second. Then you lead with what you want to inspire the audience, and then prepare 5 key questions that you wish to be asked. So that's once you get the interview, what you want to tell them to ask you, because they won't know what to ask you. So then you can prepare something to tell them what to ask you. Okay, and then anytime you get any rave reviews about your book, you want to shout them out. You want to always be marketing reviews, key testimonials, on social media, where you'll be appearing, when you're going to do book signings and all that kind of thing. Okay, and on your press kit, you want to have your contact information, you want to have your website, your email, phone, not so much phone anymore, website for sure. And then any photos, always send visuals to accompany your story. Humble photos with key inspirational mentors, and casual shots of you, which represents kind of your personality. And then you have an overview checklist for media. So you would summarize your media kit details, your brand, your product, your mission, a free offer maybe. And then you have something called a speaker sheet. Okay, so these are events and fundraisers and keynotes and different things that as a speaker, you would have ready and available for things that are part of your brand that you want to tell the media to give you some visuals on. So let me just give you an example. Here's an example of a press release. Okay, this is one that we just did for our publishing house, for Oxygen. And this is what I prepare for clients all the time. They want to release a book and they want a press release to go out to the media. Then this is the simple, straightforward setup for a press release. The date, the place, information. It's usually 2 pages. This one is a little bit longer because it has both our bios, and then where you can get information. So for example, if you wanted media attention, you would send an email. You would reach out to the media that we're going to talk about you found, okay? You're going to send a press release, and attached to the press release, one attachment, second attachment would be a press kit. So this is an example of what one of my clients, Rodney Flowers, this was his press kit. So he had an author page, then he had reviews, he had endorsements. These are all hyperlinked, so right to his book. Okay, this is a second book. Okay, so this is an example of a press kit that was designed to his brand. Here's another one. This is another client, Dr. Stem, psychologist, motivational speaker. These are her colors. This is her brand. These are her visuals. So when you send this out, right away the media get an idea of who you are and what you're all about. So she's got a lengthy one here. It's not too short. Usually you want to make them up to 4 pages. Okay. Again, this is Danielle Jaworski's. This is her book. And this is the way we set up hers. These were her branding colors. So her first page is as an author. Her second page is as a speaker. The next page as Awakening Catalyst, which was her branding. Okay, so, and this is all hyperlinked here. So the media get this. They know exactly what you want of them. Okay, so I have just a couple more here, but just so that you can see that these are all branded specifically. Okay. So, so press kits, press releases, media contacts, local and beyond. So how do you find, I'll stop sharing here for a second. So how do you find media contacts? One of the ways that I found to be the most efficient ways, and you may not be on Twitter, and if you're not, as an author, you're going to want to be. So you would want to create a Twitter account for yourself. And whether or not you use it regularly, it's a fantastic way of finding author contacts. So you would go to Twitter, for example, and you would start in your immediate vicinity. Okay, so if you're in Montreal, for example, or if you're in Guelph, or if you're in Toronto, what you would do is first find out what are the local community newspapers or online newspapers that whose mandate it is to cover arts and culture. Okay, you would start really small. A lot of people say, well, I want a story in the Montreal Gazette, or I want a story in the National Post, and that's all good. But you want to start with your local community. That's the best place to start, okay? Because that's where you're going to get a little bit of credibility that you can share when you're going for the bigger names that, I just so happened that there was a story done in such and such a newspaper. And, here's a link to my appearance on global television news. So when you go for the bigger ones, they're looking for people that have a little bit of credibility already. So when you're starting, before you publish your book, this is some of the research that you want to do. You want to find out, okay, I have a book coming out and I would like to maybe speak to the local newspaper. So how do you do that? You can either call the local newspaper and ask who the arts and culture journalist is, okay? And you would have to do this fairly regularly because they change a lot, okay? But if you were to go to Twitter, guaranteed they'll be there because they all have pages there. So you would want to start with print media. Then you would want to look at the local radio programs. Then you would want to look at the local television programs. And most cities have got either a city TV or global in Canada anyway. In the US, I'm not quite sure. I don't think I have any US on here at the moment. But in Canada, CBC, they've got arts and culture usually on a Saturday. CTV News often does different coverages of events, not so much of a launch of a book, but if you're doing a book signing or if you're appearing at something or speaking at something, they generally will cover it. And then your print local media, their mandate is to actually cover community events. So they're behooved to actually do something for you if you reach out, okay? So your job is to go and find out who those people are, find out who the guy or gal is that takes care of that kind of arts coverage. And then you actually want to take enough interest to find out what they actually write. So you go back into some past issues of newspapers where this guy or gal did some coverage. And you would read up about what they covered, what they did, so that when you reach out to them by email, you can say, hey, John, I wanted to let you know and touch base with you. I have a book that's coming out. I noticed that you did a great story on so-and-so a few weeks back, and their event at whatever place, really loved it. Okay, so what you're trying to do now is you're trying to build relationship with the media. Okay, so by doing that, you're opening up the door not just to get coverage tomorrow, but for your event, but to get coverage a year from now, because they don't want to ever feel like you're just knocking on their door and they don't really care very much. You just, give me coverage, give me coverage. And that's not how the psyche of the media works. Okay, there's a relationship building process and it begins now. So you can take the time to research, who some of these people are. Wayne Kuhn is on the line. He's a brilliant real estate agent in Guelph. I think you're in Guelph, Wayne. And I would have to imagine that you've had reason to knock on the door of media to do some coverage now and again, because you do events, you speak at events, and you also, sell homes. And I'm sure that there's, you take advertising in newspaper and whatnot. So, you want to find out who your local newspaper is and then reach out. So in Montreal anyways, we've got Global News that does an early morning show, right? You've got Breakfast Television that do an early morning show. They're always looking for guests. So what you want to do is get out of the headspace of saying, well, they really want to cover me. They need to cover you. They need guests. They need stories. So you're actually doing them the favor, not the other way around. Okay, so what's really important is that you prepare yourself for this type of coverage. Okay, so let me share here with you again. Okay, so here's just some of the tips of the trade that I share with clients who are working on press releases and press kits with us. Okay, so what are some of the tips for print and local media? Okay, and some of your print media could be a daily, could be a weekly, could be a bi-weekly. Okay, so we talked earlier about obtaining a copy of the newspaper that you're seeking coverage from and identify the section or the name of the person. We just talked about that. Okay, find out who that person is and find out what their deadlines are. So, if a community newspaper deadline is on a Thursday, they need their story and their ideas submitted by Monday at noon. to be able to give coverage to it on Thursday because they go to press on like Tuesday night. So usually if a media deadline is a Wednesday or Thursday, I back it up by a week and I make that initial contact a week in advance after they've published. So you don't want to get them on publishing day because they're not paying attention to anybody. So usually on a Friday, and you'll reach out, and when I'm working with clients, I'll actually, copy craft the email so that it sounds, like a legitimate email. You don't want to sound as if you're just reaching out and asking. You want to give a little bit of background. Okay, so community newspapers. Yeah, when reaching out to media, there's something important to keep in mind: ego. So what do I mean by that? Each member of the media has their very own personality, and each member of the media takes their job very seriously. So what you want to do is learn the personalities of each of those people. Okay, so I know there's a gal here that does coverage and has covered a lot of my events in the local television news. And I know what her personality is like. I know what kind of language to use with her. I know exactly how to get the coverage. So as you become a little bit more comfortable with having a book and starting to do self-promotion and reaching out to media, you'll start to see how they all operate, and they don't operate the same. Okay, so that's part of your job as self-promotion, is to really start making contact, find out who they are, look them up, and get familiar with them, because it's all falls under the art of self-promotion. Okay, and then radio media. You got to listen to the station that you want coverage from. Okay, if it's CBC radio and it's the arts and culture radio host, or if it's a local talk radio or whatever it is in your city, you want to know that they want to know that you actually know what their radio station is about. You don't want to find yourself on the phone with somebody, go, what do you like best about us? And you've never listened to them, and they won't cover you. So you want to get familiar with them. It doesn't mean you have to listen to them every day, but you just want to get familiar with them. Okay, that's all part of getting coverage. Okay, so find out which show is best suited for you and which time slot. Okay, CBC and local talk radio have recurring shows and themes. Talk radio here in Montreal, there's really only one station. I don't know about Toronto. I think there's more than one Toronto, and Guelph, I'm not sure as well. But find out who the different, what's the programming? There's different shows and different time slots, and which one would be best suited for you to reach out and say, I have this book. I know it'll be really, I believe it would be really great for your listenership. It's about this subject, and I'd really like to inspire your listeners to do XYZ. So you want to actually craft for the radio host the idea of what it is they'd be helping you with beforehand. You don't say, hi, I'm an author, I have a book, I need coverage. You got to tell them exactly how to cover you so that they can imagine what it's like if you're sitting in studio or if you're doing a telephone interview, and how you would actually help their readership, or their listenership or their viewership. But it's your job to tell them that. Okay, they're not going to do it for you. Okay, human interest stories, always more compelling. If you're doing a fundraiser or if you're using your book, partial proceeds of your book or towards a cause, always a good way to lead in with that. Okay, and then be mindful of the time slots and all of that stuff. So yeah, this is just as far as sending out your information to a radio station. You want to take it, you want to send it out in plenty of time. Okay, and as far as television media is concerned, morning television shows, typically in every Canadian city anyway, have an early morning television show. If not one, they have more than one. They're always looking for coverage. What you need to do with television is you need to find out who the television producer is of that show. How do you find that out? You can go to their website. They're probably not going to tell you. But if you go to Twitter and you look up the show, you can tweet to the show and you can ask, I have a great story idea. Who's the producer of the XYZ show, so that I can get a press release and a press kit into their hands? You'll get an answer. Okay, that's the professional way of conducting yourself to get coverage. You've got to think top of the line, nothing ambiguous, everything clear, spell checked, written professionally, and at least you have a fighting chance of getting your stuff seen. Okay, because it happens so often where I've heard from the media at the other side, and they say, you have no idea what kind of junk appears, and these people want us to cover them, and I can't even get through their press release. So these are all really important ways of presenting yourself, okay, to the media. And again, these are all good practices. One of the things I think I've said on the other calls before is one of the ways that I've received the best relationship building is that I always say please and I always say thank you. And it sounds so ridiculous, right? It's like, of course I would say please and thank you. Most people don't. So they get their coverage and they're all happy and they leave the television station or the radio station, or they've got the print radio, the print newspaper story, and it's all done and they're happy. But then they don't take that extra to now get back in touch with that media person after it's done, after you've got your coverage, and say, listen, I saw the coverage, I heard the coverage. Radio and television, by the way, will send you MP3s and MP4s. So then you can promote the coverage and promote them, right? So you always want to tell the media, thank you so much for the MP3. I'm going to post this on my website. I'm going to post this, and I'm sure I will be sure to give you coverage and thank them. So after the fact, get in touch with them, send them an email, say, thanks so much. Just want to let you know how much I appreciated that coverage. It made such a difference. Okay, so next time you're the guy or gal who said thank you, they will remember you. That's my personal experience, because please and thank you are like 3 big words in my PR toolkit. So make sure that those words are part of yours as well. Okay. And so I'm just going to open up the floor before I continue, because I'm just going to cover a couple more things. Does anyone have any questions? Because I know you're all at different stages. Nayoko's about to launch. She's got a Facebook page, so we're doing some marketing on her. Now, Samantha, I'll just make a point to mention Samantha Caroline, who's on the line here, and I'll unmute you for a second. So today, Samantha's pre-launch campaign started for her book today. Her book launches on June 13th. And today she started her pre-launch campaign. So her link on her website to the pre-sale of her book is available as of today. And she's been marketing it like crazy. How are your sales going?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I'm getting all kinds of different messages, and it's a heady feeling. I kind of feel like I'm floating.
That's good. That's good.
It's not very often I'm without words, so even when I recorded,
I saw that you had a recording and you said you were without words, and that was very surprising.
Yeah, because even when I was doing the recording, I was like, I just didn't have anything that I could say that what I felt.
Yeah.
Anyways, and I watched a video later, because I usually, when I have to take a video like that, I'll look at it later before, you know what I mean, trying to re-record it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what, my emotions said it all.
Yeah. Well, by the time you get to pre-sale campaign, just before your launch, I mean, you've gone through an entire book producing, journey, which takes, depending on the length of time, it could be a year, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years, it could be longer.
Yeah.
And you're kind of at that stage of the game where now I'm really letting the cat out of the bag. Now I have a link. Now people are actually putting money on the line.
Yeah. So it's a different feeling to be on the other end of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and like you talked about the thank you part, and I remember when I bought the book from Meredith. Is that her name?
Which one?
The thank you card, the poetry book, the one with the butterfly.
Oh, Natalie.
Natalie, yes.
Yeah.
Natalie, yes.
She's right down there.
Hi, Natalie.
She's down there.
And she sent the thank you cards. So that really inspired me, because as I was working with Nathan today on the website for the checkout, I was trying to do something specific for the thank you page for after they So
Yeah.
it's a whole experience.
Mm.
Anyways, we managed to come up with something because we couldn't do the whole thing. But when it comes to the marketing, you know, it's just like you said, you know, you just be your real self, but do your research and do your homework and understand the people that you're serving.
Yeah,
It's
and you
so,
have
so
to
important.
and you have to get out there. I mean, this is the thing, you know, it doesn't really matter what kind of business. If you're in the business of selling,
Yeah.
which let's face it, you have a product and you want to sell it. Wayne Kuhn sells homes. So, you know, if he doesn't get out there and tell people that his homes are for sale, he's not going to sell homes. Right?
And that's exactly it, you know, and I live in a very small, I mean, the community that I live in is 400 people.
Yeah.
And if anybody went to see my page, my personal page and my business page, which is really not separate, I am one and the same, but the amount of support,
yeah,
it's out of this world. But like you said, I've kept them in the loop, you know, from the beginning. I've shared and I've shared. And it doesn't matter how big or how small. Right?
No.
If you believe in what you have to share. And something else that really struck me in the last few days as I've been preparing for this part, it's like, I think it only struck me now how important it is, the message that I have to bring to the world. I think that's why I'm without words. You know, we're so much into the process of everything.
Yeah.
And then that's where the focus was at, naturally so, but here we are now, the product is done. It's like, oh my God, the importance of the message and then the testimonials that I had. And then you get to see how other people see you, because we don't see ourselves as other people see us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I'm still kind of just.
You're still processing. You're still processing the process.
Yeah.
But you have some media work to do as well, right? Because the book will be out, and then there's, you know, there's some inquirers. I know you're in the small town where you are now.
Yeah, I have the radio station here, in the village that I used to live in, where I sold my house last month. And then down in the Labrador side, where I met the MP for the Minister of Health, and I'm an ex-social worker, so it kind of worked out really good, you know. So it's like, but just get out there and talk to people.
You know what? I have to share an experience. I was I was in the West End at the theater. Went to Come From Away, which is all about the beautiful town of Gander, Newfoundland, which you're very familiar with.
Which I'm going to be very close to.
Yes, and we know that story is inspiring. If you don't know the story of Come From Away, it's basically what happened on 9/11 when 34 planes got diverted out of the sky. 7,000 people, 38 planes landed in a town of 7,000 people. And what those 7,000 people didn't do to make those 38, the plane people, feel comfortable. So why am I telling you the story? So I go to the West End Theater talking about the power of Twitter, okay, and communicating regularly on Twitter. So I leave the West End Theater there with my son. Extraordinary show, excellent seats. Left there, took a walk down the street in the West End, and as we're walking, there's a member of the cast walking toward us. And I mean, I've been in theater for a long time. I have no trouble congratulating any cast member anywhere. And we were over the moon about this show. It was like 4 standing ovations. It was outstanding. So I reached out to the guy who was walking across the street with his friend. And I reached out to him. I said, oh my gosh. I said, I cannot tell you how much we love the show. We're Canadians. The show is very Canadian. And I said, my son lives in London. And so we were talking there for a good 10 minutes. And this guy was just extraordinary in the show. So what do I usually do after any show I ever see, whether I'm in Montreal or New York or wherever I am? I send a tweet to the cast. So I got onto Twitter and I found the Come From Away UK cast and I sent them a tweet. And I, expressed my gratitude and how much we love the show. And about 15 minutes later, I get a tweet in response to my tweet from the guy who was in the show that I met in the street. And so he answers my tweet to the cast and he says, hey, didn't I just meet you in the street? I said, yes, you did. So we're chatting on Twitter, right? So the next day, in my inbox is a request for a discovery consult with me. So what happened was 2 weeks before the show,
Wow.
this cast member who's like trained at the Boston Ballet and the Boston Symphony, and I mean he's got credentials, but this guy's story is unbelievable. And 2 weeks before Come From Away, from the show I attended, he was having a conversation with God, and he said, I gotta publish my book. Please help me, God. Right? So I get this consult request, and he says, I need you to help me write my book. And he said, after you tweeted me and answered me, I looked at your profile and it said, publisher, author
There's God.
coach. God answered my prayer. Right? But none of it would have happened if I hadn't sent the tweet. You just never know. You want to always be communicating. You always want to be throwing it out there, making your way. Make sure you represent yourself. So I have this phenomenal discovery call with this guy and heard a story like you would not believe. So that's the next stop. Publishing with Oxygen, right? Yeah.
And you know, Carolyn, it's something about speaking about your book and about what it is that you bring in the world. You're a bit shy at first. I know for me that was my experience. Like when the lady from the MP that showed up here at my ex-husband's house, where I'm staying part-time, it's like,
right on.
Really? And then so we were talking about social work, and so my soul, I was like, just say it. And then part of me was, I said it. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I have a, the pre-sale copy here. That's, the edited version. So I brought it to her and showed it to her. And then it ended up on Facebook. And it's like, you don't know. And then she shared her story.
Yeah. So that's the important. So because they know that you have a story.
But there's two things.
But she also has a tribe. So when you're communicating, right, you know that when she shares that information, you've just reached a massive audience.
Oh my God, yes. And the audience that matters most, that's near and dear to my heart, which is children, family, communities, mental health, wellness. It's like where I couldn't have landed in a better place. And where am I moving to? Newfoundland.
Right.
But there's
you never know what that contact will bring.
Oh my God.
For you, not just for your book, but now we got to think bigger than our book, right?
Yes. Which is the practice. How I think
big. Thinking bigger than the book itself. Think about the business. Think about how it is that you're going to position yourself with that book and beyond that book. Because what is that book meant to do? It's meant to open you up to coaching, consulting, no matter what it is that you choose to do or not. I mean, you could be writing, Naoko wrote a memoir and, maybe not decided yet exactly whether that book is going to move into another form, but you don't know till the book comes out.
You don't. And actually, all of I would say the static and the buzz around this book actually really inspired and helped me center the second book.
Yeah.
And also it kind of reawakened, because everywhere I go, I'm getting asked, Samantha, would you come back to work for us and do social work? I'm like, no, I don't have my license anymore. But it's all coming up and I miss it because I love working one-to-one with people. So I have an idea that's inspired. And so now I know exactly where I'm going to go with that. But in the marketing process, one thing I've learned, because we're always marketing ourselves. You have said that, you know, and if you develop a comfortable relationship with that, you're talking, yes, you're expressing, but it's so important to listen to the person you're conversing with.
Yeah, of course.
That creates a connection. And then, they'll open up, and it's amazing, the connections, like you said. I mean, how did you know that an area, he wants to publish a book with you? I mean, like, you talk about magic, like, God,
for him, it was just as serendipitous, right? I mean, asking it is given, period. That's how the laws work, right? Definitely. That's how the laws work. And if you're familiar with them, and if you're on any of my 7 calls with Pazit, you know how all that stuff works. You just have to ask. And when you start walking in the footsteps of your authorship, okay, you're going to be asking and you're going to be receiving. Okay. So, you know, the law of receiving, the law of giving are connected. So what did I do? I gave by just giving compliments, and they were genuine and they were from the heart because the show was outstanding, and he received, right? By having the wish answered that he wanted. And that's how it works. So as you're getting comfortable in your shoes as an author, you want to do that, because when you start reaching out to the media, you want to be secure in what it is you're communicating. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whatever business you are in, okay? You want to become a master at it. You don't want to be stumbling around when people say, well, what do you do? Well, I kind of do this and I kind of do that. And you need to know exactly what it is. You know, I'm the author of XYZ book, and my book is to help people do this.
Yeah. And it's the conversations we have with ourselves. You know, as I'm doing the Thinking into Results program, that has helped me a lot too, because you become so much more mindful of the conversations you have. Instead of, you know, sometimes I would stumble and say, like, I do so many different things that I would be confused myself.
Right. You'll definitely confuse others if you're confused.
Definitely, because you could feel it. And it's, so when you keep getting more centered and you focus and you watch your thoughts and what's the conversations you're having with yourself, and even watch how you're responding to somebody when they ask you, and see where you stumble. Yeah. Right? So it's, there's the clarity, and also there is building the confidence and the courage to say, I am an author. Yeah. I remember one of the very first discussions we had about almost a year and a half ago now. And you said, I said, well, I want to be an author. And you're like, but you are an author. I was like, what? You know, and it's like, it took a year for that to grow on me. And now I'm comfortable enough with that. But no matter where you're at on this process, talk about your book, talk about what you're doing, share it.
Not only that, it creates the realness in your mind. Okay. Yes. When you're not talking about your book, you're not really writing your book. No. Right? If you're wanting to write a book, but you're constantly talking about how you're going to write a book, okay, it's always going to remain in the future tense.
The knowing.
So I'm writing a book. I'm going to write a book. One day I'm going to write a book. But you need to switch it into the present tense of I'm writing a book.
I'm writing a book.
And this is what my book's about. And this is what my book's, you know, this is my why. This is why I want to write this book. And the moment you walk into that, and then you kind of like, you own that, that's one of the first steps in actually getting the book written.
Definitely.
Is committing to the book. That's the first part of the 5 pathway pillars, right? Commit, write. Commit comes before writing. You got to make the decision to become an author. You got to get comfortable with that decision. You've got to just get those limiting beliefs and get out of your own damn way. Okay? Because if it comes to you, it's meant for you. I was teaching workshops in the UK to just an amazing group of people, and this was all part of the limiting beliefs that we find ourselves with, that give us every reason why we can't, shouldn't, maybe somebody else should, not me, who am I to? And those are the limiting beliefs that are going to forever keep you from doing what it is you're meant to do. If it comes to you, it's meant for you. That idea for your book didn't come to somebody else. It came to you. JP wrote 3 books already. He's got like a whole bunch of other things in his head there. So he's going to get those written too, because they came to him. They're meant for him.
And only us can speak in our voice.
That's right.
We all have different, we might all have similar experiences, but how we experience them are unique to ourselves. So how they're impressed upon how we express it, it's so different. And to hear somebody's story, you get a group of people together and you listen, they all live similar different things, but when you hear each person tell their story through their voice, it's spectacular, because you're getting able to see a glimpse of them that you wouldn't see if you just ran into the grocery store and seen somebody, you know. It's so much deeper. And that's why everybody's voice truly matters, no matter what you have to say, because it's coming just from you.
That's right. And everyone's story is a fingerprint.
I love that.
There are no two stories. It doesn't matter if I wrote a book about gratitude. There's thousands upon thousands of books out there about gratitude. It doesn't matter. It's not my book. It's not written from my perspective. I'm the author and the authority on my version of what gratitude is and how it means something to me that I bring to the marketplace. Each one of you are a fingerprint of your own book. So it doesn't matter how many people may have written a book about whatever it is you're writing about. It's not your book. It'll never be expressed in your unique way. So that's why it's really important. And then when we get into the whole madness of promoting yourself in the big, big world and getting it out to a body of media who hear from dozens and dozens of people every hour,
Yeah.
well, how are you going to make yourself unique? How are you going to stand out from the rest? Your personality, the way that you approach them, the way you conduct yourself, your professionalism, all of that, that's more important now than ever before, because you're not in a company now doing things with a bunch of other people. This is you. You are the brand. So you want to make sure that when you're communicating, you're always putting your best foot forward. You're always communicating uniquely that they can recognize and say, yeah, I want to get back to that Samantha girl because I really like that conversation, because you know what, she was pretty humble. You know, she didn't expect anything from us, and it makes us kind of want to cover her because she put it in a way that made us feel good about covering her. And you always want to be doing that. Okay, that's what's so important. Yeah, making connection with other people, because it's relationships. It doesn't matter what you're selling. You know, you could be selling prearranged funerals.
Yep.
You could be selling your book. People aren't doing business with the company. They're doing business with you. Okay, they'll come back and do business with you because they like you, not because they like the company that you represent. Right, Wayne Kuhn? Because that's why people come and buy houses. Right? Not because of the realty company, it's because they love doing business with Wayne Kuhn. That's how it works out there. So you're all your brand all the time. You're a walking, talking billboard for your brand. So
but you know what's just when, as you said that, you know, this is probably one of the most probably intimate part of the journeys for me, because all the jobs that I've had, I've always applied myself with all my heart. Okay, that was all. It's just who I am. And you know, sometimes you just don't feel appreciated or you don't feel understood. I felt really weird after time because I just wanted to express love. And some people were like, man, your emails, you know, they kind of feel like, I'm like, I know, I just can't write anything simple. And here now, after leaving all of that, it took time and it was hard and I cried and I done it all. But here I am now, I'm able to decide how my business, my mission shows up and serves in the world. I get to be the change that I wish to see by just simply being me. And we all can do that. So what a gift.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that's the reason why I have no words, Carolyn, because like, even like today, it's just like,
well, you've expressed your words, you've poured them into your book, you've poured them into your story, you're on social media, you know, marketing yourself all the time. And, you know, as authors, that's what we have to do. We have to be on social media. I know nobody wants to be on social media. I don't want to be on social media either, to be honest with you. But I know it's where people are. And my business is to take people's stories from their head and put it on paper. And JP and I have a goal to create 1 million authors telling 1 million stories to impact and inspire 1 million and millions and millions of people, because everyone's story matters. So how do you do that? You got to be out there where the people are, and that's where people spend a lot of their time. You know, they're gathering not at water coolers, they're gathering on Twitter and Instagram and social media. Twitter, Broadway dude, you know, I mean, who would have thunk it? But it was just a communication that you can all do in your quest to become the authority on the book that you're writing. Jenny's writing an incredible book for kids based on a story that she wrote 20 years ago that she's finally bringing to life, and a business and everything that's going with it. Naoko is releasing, her pre-sale campaign starts on June 1st. She releases on June 27th. So Naoko's got her book coming out. Gabriella is writing her book in real time. Wanda Peel is writing her book. Natalie is doing all sorts of other creations. Sharon, why don't you share with us? Are you writing a book as well? Let me unmute you for a second.
Hi, yes, I am. I actually sent you a request for a meeting the day you left for the UK. So I guess I did.
Okay.
You'll get to it when
Did you send it through? Hi.
She wrote a story too that she wanted to read.
Oh, a young author. We love those.
There's 2 of them in here.
Oh, that's so good. Well, listen, reach out back, go onto the to my website or to the Oxygen website.
I did it on the Oxygen one.
Okay, so I'll go and find you so that I can get on a call with you and find out exactly what it is that you're looking to.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad I asked. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes.
Yeah. Your story.
Yeah.
What's your story?
The Big Bad Wolf.
The Big Bad Wolf. That's a good
It's
story.
a remix. They have
a remix.
Competition to build a house, and it's a great story. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
We love young authors. Authors in training. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, does anyone have any questions at all? Yeah, in the chat. So your daughter's behind you. Okay, hold on just a second. Let me just turn this off. Packing her bags. Thank you very much. On our way out. Okay, do you have a business Twitter account? I have a Twitter account under Carolyn Flower, which is my brand. So Wayne, do you have, I'm just gonna unmute you for a second, Wayne. With your business, so what is the realty company that you're with?
Remax.
Yeah, so does
Remax Real Estate Center?
Yeah, so did they have a Twitter account?
I don't even know. I've never seen it.
Okay.
Twitter. I haven't fallen in love with Twitter because I don't know how it works. It's like eating an elephant to me. That's why I was wondering. Like, I have a Twitter account, but it's kind of a Wayne Kuhn real estate agent Twitter account.
That's fine.
So I want to create a Wayne Kuhn author speaker account.
Yep.
Do I have 2 accounts, or should I get rid of the real estate account and just have a author? Because real estate will run its own. Like I'm at a point after 30 years, I don't have to tell anybody I'm a realtor.
Right. So just try. Yeah.
So I think I was born that way, right?
You can change the Twitter account you have right now. It's under your name, Wayne Kuhn. So just change the banner and just change the description of it. That's all.
Yeah, and then that description will drive in different. What I'm trying to do is connect with other authors, connect with other speakers, connect with that group of people that are doing what I want to do, so that we can share content and stuff like that. So okay,
super fantastic. Go and do that. Just convert it, basically, transpose it from what it is to what you want it to be, and then go and follow, right, all the people that you admire, the people that you like to follow. And then, tweet regularly about what you're doing, where you're going, and then comment on other people's, people in your area that are doing these things. And so you start creating conversations with people on Twitter. And it really is, it's a great, easy way to open conversations and continue. Then you've got private messaging that you can do and all of that. And, like I said, nobody really wants to spend a heck of a lot of time on Twitter, but if you want to grow a business, you kind of have to choose the big 3: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Oh, and LinkedIn, of course. I'm sure you use LinkedIn. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Good.
You're welcome. Okay. I love Instagram for my art. Yeah. Instagram is great. Instagram is, Facebook is out there, but Instagram is right there with it. Instagram is really Instagram stories. I post on Instagram almost every day. And then I actually duplicate it over onto my own business page. So you're welcome, Samantha. You're doing so great. Okay. Do I have any more questions in here? I don't think so. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before we call it a night? Just let me go down here. My followers are increasing. Share your Instagram. My daughter runs my Instagram. Since she took over, my followers are increasing. There you go. They know how to run Instagram, right? So yes, another way to, okay, so Natalie Broderick, everyone's sharing their Instagram. You can share your Instagram account down here in the chat if you want. There we go. So that's it. So Jenny, okay. Go ahead.
Sometimes you talk really fast. Just saying.
I do? Okay.
So you had gone through.
It's why you get the recording.
Yeah. So you had gone through, I'm very low social media. Like I haven't even been on Facebook for like the last 6 months.
Okay.
Anyway, so you said the big ones were Facebook, you went Facebook, blah, blah, and Twitter. So I didn't hear what they all were. So,
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
and LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn is kind of that's really where you want to set yourself up first, because LinkedIn is it's more of a business platform. You know, anybody who's in business, JP has a LinkedIn. I think everybody here has a LinkedIn.
I did have a LinkedIn when I started with my network marketing business.
Yeah.
And I went in and I tried to adjust it so it now reflects an author storyteller.
Right.
But there's parts I can't edit and I can't figure it out. I'll have to go figure it out. I'm not asking you now to
Yeah, no, it's all editable. You just got to go
so,
through each block and click on the edit, and you can edit each part. But that's where people go. You know, and you're running a business. You know, it sounds like, you know, I'm writing a book for kids, but you're creating a business model.
well, and the thing, I guess anyone can answer this, whoever has LinkedIn and knows it, is like in my email, I get, oh, someone's looked at your profile or someone's whatever. Like, I don't know what kind of to do with the, you know what I mean? Like, oh, like it's such a new world. Anyway, I'm old school and I'm never done business. So yeah, anyway, I wanted those 4 things.
Well, if somebody's reaching out to you in there, then you can respond to them on on LinkedIn. You can respond to them, but you should have all of your contact information on LinkedIn so that they can reach you anytime they want to. Your email address, your website, everything should be there so that they can find you.
Okay.
Okay. Same thing everywhere else. If you're on Instagram, on your bio, you should either have an Instagram link tree or a link. And we won't go into all of the social media stuff tonight, but just make sure that whatever social media platform you're using, there's a direct way to get in touch with you, because that's the whole reason that you're out there, is for people to contact you.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. Anybody else have any questions? Any questions, any comments, any requests? No, not for the moment. We're good. We're good to go. Okay. So that wraps up tonight's edition of Webclass Wednesday, learning a little bit more about the media, how it works, how to have your sweethearts out there in the media and make friends with them so that they want to cover you. And I appreciate all of you investing your time with me and with all of us this evening. It's always great having you on the call. So thanks very much, everybody. And we'll catch you on the next web class. Good night.